So we got there at little before 7. And 12 hours later, it was a long process, but it was a process that moved slowly. We were out on the Egyptian side.
Finally, the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt was opened this week. Hundreds of foreign nationals were allowed to leave, along with dozens of seriously injured Palestinians taken to Egypt for urgent medical care. One of the first Americans out, Dr. Barbara Zind, a pediatrician from Colorado who had been in Gaza as a volunteer visiting physician. She called herself fortunate because she was able to shelter with other international workers in special United Nations facilities, something regular Gazan citizens could not. From her hotel room in Cairo, Egypt, she describes what it was like to be trapped inside Gaza.
It's been scary. In the last 2 weeks, we kept running out of water, and that was water to flush the toilet. We always were fortunate to have drinking water, which was not true of the Gazans that were just outside the fence from us. They were running out of drinking water. And but we ran out of water for washing and sanitation. We were having more and more cases of diarrhea show up in our community of 50. So I can't imagine what it was like outside the camp, outside in the general camp area.
Regular Gazans remain trapped in the Palestinian territory, where airstrikes have destroyed whole neighborhoods. Massive bombing this week left catastrophic damage in the densely populated Jabalah refugee camp in northern Gaza. Israel Defense Forces say the strike targeted a Hamas command and control complex and killed a key Hamas leader, and that the scale of the destruction was caused by the collapse of a spider's web of Hamas tunnels. But scenes like this and the rising death toll continue to cause global outcry for a humanitarian truce. On Thursday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken departed for yet another trip to the region.
Israel has not only the right but the obligation to defend itself and also to take steps to try to make sure that this never happens again. We've also said very clearly and repeatedly that how Israel does this matters. We will focus as well on steps that need to be taken to protect civilians who are in a crossfire of Hamas's making. And we want to look at concrete steps that can be taken to better protect them.
The death toll has passed a reported 9,000 people, in numbers drawn from the Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health. With nowhere to go, hospitals have become refugee centers for the newly homeless. Thousands are sheltering there.
What did these kids do to come and be here? What is their guilt? Where are children's rights? Where are human rights? I brought my kids to sleep here. I used to be afraid of my kids playing in the sand. Now their hands are dirty with the blood on the floor.
Doctors in the hospital say the humanitarian crisis has become horrific as they run out of medicine, anesthetics for surgery, fuel, and power. They are overwhelmed with patients with catastrophic injuries and have run out of options.
Even the patient is improved a little bit, you cannot send him home because there is no home. He just staying at the hospital. He feels more safe with his family because they lost their home and they cannot go anywhere. We have a bad now respiratory illnesses, diarrheal illnesses. We have bad epidemics inside the hospital. Even the medical team get exhausted.
A pediatrician with the humanitarian medical group Doctors Without Borders, who herself has relatives in Gaza, describes what the doctors are going through.
They sit at work, working 24/7 to care for patients while their families are being bombarded, while they're worrying about being bombarded themselves, and they refuse to leave because they have decided to stay with their patients.